President, how are you,
Good
sir?
morning, Cannabis. I'm well. Thank you very much.
Holding all politicians accountable to you. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Come here. Do it, baby. I'm in love with Mary Jane. She's my main thing. She makes me feel alright. She makes my heart sing. And when I'm feeling low, she comes as no surprise. Turns me on with her love. Takes me to
Yes, indeed. Rick James was ahead of his time. We're talking cannabis this hour. Whew. Yeah, a lot going on. I didn't get to the Grammy nominations. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow in case you care. And didn't get to the fact that there are now 8 billion people in the world, but we always have lots of time to talk about that. I do want to talk cannabis, though, and that's on deck for us. Thus the Rick James song, because the conditions in the world of cannabis are changing. We are at a crossroads, and so I've got some great voices to share their view with where we are with cannabis and what needs to be done. Sad news, speaking of the Grammys, that Roberta Flack, it's announced by her publicist she has ALS and she can't sing anymore. How sad is that? She, of course, known for lots of hits, including the Killing Me Softly with the song, which was redone by the Fugees. And what's that, Lauryn Hill? Same difference. Anyway, she has Lou Gehrig's disease, and she can barely speak, let alone sing. She's 85 years old. She's won Grammys before, so, she says she's keeping on, living her life, I guess, but will not be singing anymore. Found 21 unmarked graves in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and those may be the graves belonging to some further victims of the 1921 Tulsa Race Massacre. These are unmarked graves at Oak Lawn Cemetery. And the state archaeologist Carrie Stackelbeck said there are 17 of them that were adult-sized, 4 more that were children and adult together were found later. And this, as an ongoing analysis is being done to figure out how many people really were killed in the Black Wall Street massacre almost close to 100 years ago that's finally coming to light. How many people were really killed, how much wealth really destroyed, even as those living victims continue to seek reparation. Really, it's to be made whole. I told you we were talking cannabis, and that is exactly what we are doing right now. We are being joined on the phone and in studio by some folks that have knowledge on cannabis. And, I think those of us who aren't in the space kind of think, well, it's legal now, no big deal. We move on. Being joined in studio right now by somebody who hasn't been here to KBLA with me yet. Great to have you in. He's an American author, also was a convicted drug trafficker known for his empire in Los Angeles in the 80s. He served some time in prison. Now he's out and he's a multiple entrepreneur. I don't know all the titles, filmmaker, author, and also moving in the cannabis space. Rick Ross, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, good. Welcome to KBLA.
Glad to be here. It's been a long time since we got together.
Yes, indeed. In fact, I think I was working at a different radio station at the time.
You were.
And, you know, so much in the world continues to change. We're being joined now also on the phone by someone we'll call a Cannabipreneur, one of the few women of color in the emerging billion-dollar cannabis business. Multi-billion, really?
Yeah,
multi-billion,
yeah,
wow. Bonita, Money, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate you virtually. We're on YouTube, by the way, if you want to see me and Rick. Just go to youtube.com, type in KBLA 1580. We're streaming live every morning. You won't see Bo, but you'll see her next time. So, yeah. Let me start with you, Rick. You know, you are obviously a lot of entertainment ventures, television, books, film, all kinds of stuff. Records too.
Yeah, records as well.
Tell me the state of the Rick Ross empire as it exists in 2022.
No, well, we got our hands a lot of places. You know what I did when I went to prison. You know, I did a lot of studying while I was there. I read over 300 books, and I want to put that knowledge that I learned to work for the community. I believe that I have a wealth of knowledge to share with them. I mean, you know, from you look at, and I'm not bragging about my past. I try not to, you know. But I started with $125, and before I got arrested, I made $3 million a day. Now, you can look at that one or two ways. You could say this guy was a terrible guy because he sold drugs, or you can look at it from a business perspective and say, well, you know, if somebody can take $125 and turn it into $1 million a day in any line of work, they must know something. They must have did some things right. And what I did is when I went to prison, I wanted to find out what I did right in the drug business and find out if it was transferable to other businesses. And what I'm finding out right now that I can literally walk into any business and take it over if I want to.
Well, they need you over at Twitter. Maybe you should head over there. But really, you know, we've talked before many times. Yeah. But I don't think I've ever heard you put it quite like that. You did tell me that when you went into prison, you were not literate. You couldn't read.
Totally illiterate. Never read a book. But
yet you figured out how to make money.
Right.
And then what you're telling me now is what I hadn't heard you say, which is you try to figure out what you did right. Do you ever though sit and go like think about what you've done wrong, or do you think about like how to?
Of course,
you know, to be spiritually cleansed, to make some kind of atonement.
I thought about what I did wrong.
Yeah.
You know, but once you deal with that, then you got to leave it alone.
I mean, how do you deal with it though? You
can't sit there and constantly pound yourself over the head because you did something wrong.
No, of
course. One time in your life. Because there's nobody in the world that's living that has never sinned or have never made a mistake or have never did something wrong.
Most of us are sinning as we speak. You know, but there's levels, right? There's levels.
Well, I don't know if you can really put levels. I mean, we try to. You know, as human beings, we try to level and say, oh, you're worse than me because your sin was greater than mine. But who's the judge of that? And what I do is I moved on. You know, I moved on with my life. And I want to, you know, when I spoke to Minister Farrakhan, he told me that if I take all my experience and use it to the betterment of other people, then in actuality, I didn't really sin at all. I was running an experiment for other young black men like myself. And that's the way I look at it now. I don't even look at it as my drug dealing as necessarily something that was terribly wrong. I look at it as if now, with my experience, I'm going to be able to stop a whole lot of other brothers from going down that same road.
We come forward. I want to, you know, find out what you found out you were doing right. And Bonita, Cannapreneur, I want to see how all of this applies and how it informs us about what's going on in the cannabis space right now, which is crucial. I mean, I feel like we're at a crossroads. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
We may be LA's newest talk station, but when you're punching above your weight, it's not about whether you can throw a punch. Can you take a punch? We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. And we don't black down. KBLA Talk 1580 would like to thank all the businesses that tune into KBLA at work. We celebrate you, your calls to the station, and your overall support. To show our appreciation, we would like to treat your office to a lunch for 10, brought to you by K. Michelle's Kitchen Catering. Open the KBLA Talk 1580 app or log on to KBLA1580.com to be selected for our Office of the Week. We know you are just like our staff, putting in many smart, hard-working hours per week. We just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you. You and your staff deserve lunch on us. Enter your office to win lunch for 10 and be highlighted on KBLA Talk 1580 as our Office of the Week. Open the KBLA app or log on to KBLA 1580 to enter your office today to become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. Sponsored by K. Michelle's Kitchen Catering.com. Become the KBLA Talk 1580 Office of the Week. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here for KBLA Talk 1580. We're live in Los Angeles at J.P. Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour, and I'm speaking to some of the attendees today to see why it was so important for them to be here.
Yeah, this is Lathan and Tyler. Main reason that's very important for me to be here is just to leave a legacy for my kids. Black wealth, generational wealth is what we need in our community. You know, Chase. Someone has to take the lead. They're showing big business like Chase cares, and they're putting their money where their mouth is at. So it's good to see big institution like Chase. Giving a lifting hand, to the community, and you got to respect that. It makes me want to bake with Chase, and give them another look if I go to another institution. I actually see what Chase is doing for the community.
That's right, Chase is doing their part to help advance Black wealth. For more money support, tune in every day from 12 to 2 to KBLA Talk 1580's Midday Money Chain, right here.
It's Pro Time, which means at Lowe's, you're invited to enjoy a Lowe's Pro Happy Hour. Kick back with free Pepsi Cola drinks and Frito-Lay snacks. Bonus points per dollar on purchases of select Pepsi products. Come into Lowe's and get the full MVP treatment at Pro Happy Hour on November 17th from 2 to 5 p.m. While supplies last. Bonus points offer valid 10/27 through 12/8. Calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty terms.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
And as promised, we're talking cannabis, but we're also talking journeys. Bo Money is with us by phone. Rick Ross is with us in studio. And I was asking you, about your journey. You said you when you were in prison, not only you learned how to read, you read 300 books, you did an analysis trying to figure out what you did right.
And wrong. But yeah,
so we touched on the right part, the wrong part, because I was, not just you, I wonder this about anyone who's been a drug dealer or been in the gang life. Like, how do you wash yourself clean? How do you atone? How do you become spiritually whole? And I understand what you're saying. You move forward with the work that you're doing to
absolutely
to create success.
And I ran into a book that told me exactly what I did wrong. I went to a dope dealer and I asked him how to make some money. I was basically just a tennis player, a tennis bum, and I needed some money. And I went to a dope dealer because he looked good, brand new Cadillac with a big grill on it, and he's wearing some gold chains. And I was like, man, how do you make money? And he gave me some dope.
Right.
That was as simple as that.
I mean, you could call it wrong. You could also call it sort of logical, like I want money. Have some and figure out
in our neighborhood.
So in our neighborhood, right.
Because you don't have doctors and lawyers.
Absolutely. I mean, you see
they
Walmart.
Don't run around South Central.
You see Walmart writing a huge check for their part in the opioid crisis. So, drug dispersing responsibility. There's plenty to go around. That said, what did you do right? What did you find out, and how are you trying to apply it or applying it, if you do, to the cannabis business?
Well, the first thing I did, and people might think this is crazy, but when I went into the drug business, I went in with love for people.
Yeah, that does sound crazy.
It does. But that's why I sell drugs, and that's why it's crazy. Let me tell you how crazy stuff is. Yesterday, I was with one of my first smokers. First crack smokers that bought dope from me. He walked me into the bank, and he's signing for me to get a $50,000 loan from the bank.
He's the banker.
No, he's not the banker. He changed his life. He's doing really well now.
Okay, I see.
Well now, and he said, you know what, you always treated me good, and I believe in you.
Okay, my head is exploding right now.
What? Because you treated your drug users.
Yeah, just that story.
With respect,
just
and dignity, and love and passion for them.
Yeah, I mean, if you weren't there, it does sound crazy. It does.
The movie's gonna be crazy. You know, we just hired our director too.
All right, congratulations.
Yeah.
And that was a thing that you said, and I want to bring Bonita into the conversation, but that was a thing you said during the break. Is that last time we talked, it was more theory, and now it's in facts. Facts. What do you mean by that?
Well, I have evidence to prove. You know, I got the books that has sold thousands of copies of books out the trunk of my car with nobody. No Jews behind me.
Okay, we're not going down that path, are we?
I had to throw it in because well, you know, I don't like what they did to Kyrie Irving. You know, I think what they did to Kyrie Irving was wrong.
But who's they? The team?
The team, the NBA, the media, other players. You know, just everybody. I mean, the guy just told somebody to watch a video. I thought that was crazy for people. But, you know, when you're black, I guess like you said, you really can't speak your voice.
Well, honestly, I mean, we've had the conversation on the show, and I don't want to go off on a sidetrack. You and I could just sit here and talk about all kinds of things all day.
Absolutely.
It'd be hell of interesting.
We'll do this again.
Yeah, we would, definitely. I mean, I've also said I don't agree with the public flogging or the way that either Ye or Kyrie Irving has been handled. I don't agree with anti-Semitism. I don't agree with hate. But why is it that Donald Trump gets one outcome when he does and says something anti-Semitic, and Kyrie Irving gets another? It doesn't seem like it seems inconsistent and problematic based on the ethnicity of the offender.
I agree.
So, but you had to throw that firebomb in there. Whatever. So you're selling another day. So you're selling books, and you're saying that the movie and the television show and these musical artists that you have, you're following what you found out you did right from an entrepreneurial standpoint, even though you couldn't read at that time, and you're applying it now.
Correct.
Okay. And we'll talk more about what those things are when we continue the conversation. I want to bring in Bonita. Bonita, talk to me about your business model, your success.
Well, I am the founder and executive director of N.D.I.C.A, which is the National Diversity and Inclusion Cannabis Alliance, and it's a social justice organization that really assists Black and Brown folks to enter into the cannabis industry through our social equity programs. Because for years, you know, we've been targeted by the war on drugs. Our communities have been decimated because of the war on drugs and mass incarceration, and the industry in the illegal market was built on the backs of Black and Brown folks, and now, you know, we have an industry that has been taken over by white men in suits, and these multi-state operators are controlling the industry and really shutting Black and Brown folks out from an industry that they really built. So, you know, for us, it's about really truly assisting folks to transition from that legacy market into the legal market, you know, with the mentorship, the training, the education that they need to operate in the legal business, you know, and the real support and resources.
I mean, you know, this has been a concern all along. The reason I said before we went to news and traffic that this, to me, feels like a crossroads is because I think there's only one or two times during a person's lifetime when a business opportunity at this level opens up, right? After Prohibition, when alcohol becomes legal again, there's an entry-level business opportunity. And the same thing is happening now with cannabis. And it does feel like maybe the train is leaving the station without Black folks in terms of that money-making train. And what you're saying to me, I'm basing that on what I'm observing in Los Angeles where I live. what you're saying, Bo Money, is making me think that this is happening in every state, regardless of what their platform intentions or supposed policies for including black people in this huge money making opportunity are.
Correct. And so in 2017, we created these social equity programs in California, which was the cities of Los Angeles, Oakland, San Francisco, Sacramento. So we were first to pilot that. And we thought that LA would be the model. Unfortunately, we haven't been. I think we're one of the worst models at this point, just because there's so much corruption around it and failed policy. But we were priority processing for folks, black folks, to get into the industry, because the requirements to qualify for social equity would be have a cannabis conviction, come from marginalized communities that were targeted by the war on drugs, and then low income was another requirement. So with that being said, you look at the communities that were affected and who came from those communities, those are black and brown folks. But everybody but black and brown folks have been getting licensed. Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know where to start. So, Ricky, because I've been watching this since, 2017, even before that, being on the air.
We talked about it briefly before.
We talked about it briefly before. I've talked with Kika time and time and time again, in the work that she's doing. Big Kika, why is it such a failure, Rick? Why isn't it? We hear all these big intentions, and in fact, when I heard what New York, what they said they were doing, which is just nobody except for people affected can get any licenses until the first, whatever it was, 25 or 50 or whatever they said. But the more I hear, the more skeptical I become of even that. Why is it such a failure?
Well, one of the reasons that I believe is that the people who are in power are not black. And then when you do get a black that is in any type of position, not to want to be pro-black, if that makes sense.
Okay, well, put me in that position. Come on. I don't understand that. I mean, I do understand it because I've seen it time and time again. It's the Herschel Walker syndrome. It's the, Clarence Thomas syndrome.
Absolutely.
But, well, let me ask you the same question, Bo Money. Why do you think these programs are ending up actually allowing black people to be shut out instead of ushering us in, which was what supposedly was the intent? Bo Money, you still there? We shall get...
I'm sorry, yes, I am.
Yeah.
I think I'll be sorry back. Can you repeat that question, please?
Well, why? Why are these programs that were supposed to get us in keeping us out?
Oh, because with the policy that was written, there were a lot of loopholes, and this allows folks that should not have been getting licensed to get licensed. And this is the problem that we had. I
mean, what I'm hearing, it reminds me of South Africa. In South Africa, they have these business initiatives that were meant to up out of apartheid, right? We only have a minute till news, traffic, and sports, so you can comment on this afterwards. And so what a lot of white majority business folks did is they'd hire a black person as a front person. And they really didn't have an ownership stake. And what I'm hearing, and you can call this rumor or observation, in LA, for example, it seems like the cannabis business is now an Armenian business. And for me, I'm like, when did are Armenian people, no disrespect, but are they people of color when it's convenient and not when it isn't convenient? Like, how is that working? Is it like, when you talk about corruption, you mentioned corruption, and I'm saying all this because I want you guys to address these questions when we come forward. Is when you talk about corruption, are you talking about deals like that where people are hiring someone to front off something as a black owned or black partnership when it's really not? Or are you talking about people fronting themselves off as impacted by this when they're really not? Or is it something else that I'm not saying? We'll talk about that when we come forward. The conversation is Cannabis on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. NATO held an emergency meeting today after a missile strike inside Poland near the Ukrainian border killed 2 people. President Biden said the missile probably wasn't fired from Russia. A NATO source said earlier today that Biden has told allies the projectile in question was a Ukrainian air defense missile. Still, NATO member Poland says it may invoke Article 4, which calls for formal discussions among allies and could lead to in the region. In California, Long Beach will have a black mayor. For the first time in its history, current Vice Mayor Rex Richardson has been elected mayor, defeating City Councilwoman Susie Price, who conceded on Tuesday. Richardson leads Price by more than 8,100 votes. He'll be sworn in December 20th. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Starting with the Civilian Cascade, 2 right lanes are still closed by south of past Comfort Highway. Traffic stops at Vista del Lago Road. Also got the Civilian Fontana on the Rapids of 15 north toward the 210 east. 1 lane block on the rapid traffic is still in the transition. In Hawthorne, there was a crash in lanes 405 northbound for Rosecrans Avenue. That guy pushes the shoulder. Still pretty tough on the 110 freeway. And in Anaheim Hills, get a report of a vehicle stalled 91 westbound for Imperial Highway. Looks like that's stalled in the left-hand lane. Watch for traffic brake to get that to the right shoulder.
NetSpend All Access. Get the mobile banking account with perks that add up. Banking services provided by an account established by Pathward N.A. Member FDIC. Deposit account opening is subject to registration and ID verification. Terms and costs apply.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The number 1 girls high school basketball player in the nation is going to USC. 6'2" guard Juju High School in Chatsworth signed a national letter of intent to attend USC in the fall of 2023. This young lady can ball. She was the starting guard for the USA Ball 17 and under team when they won 2 gold medals. She's one of only 5 high school basketball players in the country with a name, image, and likeness endorsement deal with Nike. Watkins, who grew up in Watts, is the great-granddaughter of Ted Watkins Sr., the legendary LA civil rights activist in the 60s. The Clippers lose by 2 in dollars last night, 35 for dollars forward Luka Doncic. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by MVP Accident Attorneys. When it comes to your settlement, we're slam dunk. Call 833-MVP-WINS or check their website at themvp.com for a free case review.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call me your MVP.
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
Did you know fixing outdoor leaks can save 27 to 90 gallons of water per day? Even tiny leaks can be huge water wasters. Conserving water starts with a few simple water-saving actions at home and in your yard, like adjusting your sprinklers and adding drip irrigation so you water only where it's needed. We can all do our part to conserve water. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more water-saving tips. Save water, save California.
Looking for legitimate political discourse without the bear spray? Tune in and speak out. KBLA Talk 1580.
He is the author of the 21 Keys of Success. Riding with Rick, I guess, is the official name of the book. And Rick Ross is with me in studio. The man formerly, do they still call you Freeway Rick Ross? Or?
Some people do.
I know, the whole name. We won't go in. I'm not going down no more rabbit holes with you. We're talking about cannabis today. We're also being joined by Bo Money, who is a film and TV producer, a Cannapreneur, a consultant, and an advocate for social equity. So let's go right where we were when we left off for news, traffic, and sports. When you talk corruption, what are you talking about exactly? Starting with you, Bo Money.
Well, the folks in power that are, able to really do the right thing are not. And I believe a lot of people have been paid off. I think there's been a lot of brown and black bags, transacting. And I think that it's been self-interest from a lot of these people in power, because you have certain folks that worked for the Department of Cannabis Regulation that left and went right into the private sector. And we believe that they were doing favors for a lot of these multi-state operators, these white, multi-million-dollar companies, and, assisting them in getting licensing that should have went to social equity folks.
And I'm going to ask you to elaborate further when you talk about people not doing the right thing. I mean, it's not hard to believe about the brown paper bags, Bonita, when we right now in the middle of the situation with Jose Huizar, right, where the developer that paid him $1 million in bribes has just been convicted.
Wow.
And we know it was stacks of money. I mean, that his mama, he would come with stacks of money, give it to his mom, and tell her to write him a check. And, no questions asked. So it's not a stretch.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. And when you look at cannabis, that's even a bigger industry, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not a stretch at all.
And harder to
Very
track
possible.
the money because the banks refuse to do business.
And the people that they're cutting out, we don't really speak up for ourselves, so we have to get to a point to where we defend what's ours. What I see us doing, when I got out of prison and I was just kind of observing, trying to learn my way around the world again. I've been gone 20 years and was a little off balance. But what I noticed is that we as blacks give away everything that we have. We just give it to people. We don't make them earn it. We don't make them earn our time. We don't make them earn our vote. We don't make them earn our money.
Give me an example of what you're talking about.
Well, we go places and we buy things that people go and buy for $25 and they charge us $200 for it. Stuff like that. We just give our money to people. We don't have a sense.
Not recycling dollars, not doing due diligence. If I'm going to overpay for something, I'd rather overpay a black person because at least I know it's probably feeding some black.
When you go to a black, you want a discount.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you feel like that's your cousin.
Yeah,
we related, so give me a discount. But when we go to
yeah.
everybody else, we pay them full price, and it just steady builds up. It's like a building up process where people just don't give us our due diligence, our respect. They don't treat us the way that we should be treated as human beings.
I mean, obviously it's related to cocaine. It's not related to cannabis. But surely you must see the irony. So many people in our community, I mean, that was the whole basis for social equity. So many black people did time in prison, had their whole lives ruined, had felonies and weren't able to work after they got out of prison because of cannabis, and now it's a legit industry that people are making money off of, and we're being cut off. So, but the logic was, well, you guys paid the price when it was illegal, so now you should get the benefit when
and
it's
that makes
legal.
total sense. That makes total sense. If you have somebody that is doing it when they feel that it is right, and in actuality it had to be right because we wouldn't be legal right now, and other people thought that it was wrong, you would let them in first. I mean, that only makes sense.
Is it too late, Bonita? Is it too late? Has the train left the station? I mean, you see all these chains, the medical men and people of cannabis, and it hasn't opened up in every state yet, but it seems like it will be soon. Is it too black people to get that foot in the door to have equity?
No, it's not too late. I mean, again, we just need to make sure that we have oversight, on these cannabis programs and these social equity programs, and the right folks are being licensed. We need to put the right people in position to head these departments to make sure that it's ethical and it's fair, and, we are doing the right thing. So, a lot of states, are just now coming on recreational. So it's a perfect opportunity to make sure that these social equity policies are put in place and they're right. we want to make this right.
Do you think New
York
York
just came on board?
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Do you think that their program is better? It seems better on just on first glance.
Well, I think the resources they're creating straight off, I would say the first round is great because they're putting like $200 million into the first round of licensing, and because they're going to help with securing buildings and building them out, which that's been a huge barrier for us finding real estate.
Okay, so they're going beyond just helping folks get the licenses, which Governor Kathy Hochul, I don't know that much about her, but I like this idea that nobody gets in the door until at least some black folks get in the door. But I didn't realize that there was that component of investing in helping people get the buildings, and because I remember people trying to hold on to buildings, waiting for licenses that never came, and just all kinds of injustices that wind up with folks having a net loss of wealth.
Yeah, and I'm going through that right now with here in LA. I've been having my license for almost 3 years now.
Cannabis license.
I've been waiting for the city to come out and do an inspection of my building for like 6 or 7 months after I did everything they told me to do. COVID kind of shut us down.
But you already have the license?
I won the invoice, I guess that's what you call it. I won the invoice, so I'm eligible. I have my building. My building is ready to go, and I can't get the city to come by and do it. Everything is up to par.
You would think that just that social equity mandate would put your building inspection higher on the list.
You would think so, but
not to mention you're kind of well known.
They're busy pushing another round right now that they didn't let the public know. That, say for instance, I was eligible to get in this next round, but they didn't put the word out that we could actually get into this next round, and now they're giving the license out like they did the first round. The first round where I won my license, I thought that was anti-black. I'm going to be honest with you. Because you have to go on a computer. The first ones to fill out their applications, so that means you got to have a fast internet service. The first ones that fill out their application and log in win their license. Now you tell me that's not anti-black. Most blacks don't even have computers.
Right, and even if we do, we don't have people that can sit there all day and night, fast typing to beat everybody else out. Bo, do you want to comment on what Rick just said? No, I guess we're in and out. Maybe, I'm not sure if she's muting. All life is a Zoom right now.
Airport, I'm trying to check in. So
I got you. Okay, I got you. Well, I appreciate your rolling with us on that level. I don't know, is she trying to talk right now, Bonita, or are you actually in line talking to an agent?
No, I'm just trying to check in, so just give me like 2 minutes.
Okay, yeah, we'll circle back to you. We can do that.
Yeah, so
we're flexible.
When they did those rules, I was totally against those rules.
Yeah, I remember that, and I remember that they saw there was a problem and they did it again, and they did the same thing again.
They did this, and now they're doing the same thing again. They made a new announcement, and I think somebody was telling me they're doing 100 licenses and 60% of the people are Armenians. It's getting it again. And it's no coincidence that the person who runs the DRC now is Armenian. And the assistant to Cat Packer.
Who is African American.
But like I said before, sometimes we get in those positions and we tuck because we don't want to seem pro-black. We don't want to seem like what we're doing it for the black community, which I believe that we need somebody to stand up for the black community.
That's kind of the whole point of social equity.
Well, you would think so.
Thing about it is, to be fair, you're standing up a new department, you've got all these unforeseen obstacles and pressures, I imagine, based on what you all are telling me about corruption. Maybe there are things we don't see.
Absolutely. No, I totally agree. But then the other thing, say for instance with the licenses, where they could have put the power back into to people's hand, is they could have said, okay, if you win the license, and once you win the license, then you go out and get your building.
Right. That would make sense.
But they said you got to have a building before you can get the license. Now the building's going to cost you have to do. You have to go out and get an investor.
Yeah.
So now you still have somebody behind you that's jerking the strings and wine. So I just believe that the way that most of these cities and states have been setting up their programs have not been. And I'm not the smartest guy in the world, you know.
We're talking with Bo Money and Rick Ross. We're not going to hear that speech about who's the smartest person in the world. Maybe you are. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Tweets with racial slurs have soared since Elon Musk took over Twitter. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News. Only a week after the Tesla CEO bought Twitter, reports of the racial epithet used to attack black people was reportedly used 1,000 times, tripling its average this year. And a slur used to target trans people increased by 53%. Instances of offensive terms for homosexual men soared 39% over the yearly average. Examples of offensive terms used to target both Jews and Hispanic people also increased. This all according to research done by the Center for Countering Digital Hate. KBLA listeners, what do you think about Elon Musk, the man who describes himself as a free speech absolutist, taking over Twitter? Let us know by tweeting us at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Sanctuary of Hope invites you to come out, support Homeless Youth Awareness Month at a candlelight, interfaith prayer, and youth voice reflections. Tuesday, November 29th, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. For more info, visit thesoh.org. Did you know a housing crisis puts young people at huge risk of more violence and trauma? And right now, young people and their children need support more than ever. Prevention services such as financial assistance, education, employment support, and mental health well-being are main drivers of impact. Contact thesoh.org for more information. Did you know an estimated 4.2 million youth and young adults experience homelessness, of which 700,000 are unaccompanied minors? To pathway. More info at thesoh.org. Again, thesoh.org.
Life is uncertain. It's okay to feel stressed, anxious, worried, or frustrated. It's normal. With CalHope's free and secure mental health resources, it's easy to get the help you and your loved ones need when you need it the most. Call our warm line at 833-317-4673 or live chat at calhope.org today.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for Progressive Talk Radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
And we do have a lot to talk about. We're talking with Bo Money, who's in the airport, and she's a Cannapreneur and producer, and also an advocate for social equity within the cannabis space. And Rick Ross, a soon-to-be proprietor of a dispensary.
Yes.
If the city ever comes and looks at your building. So I was thinking of Dr. Imani Brown, who's the head of the Social Equity Program. You were talking about the executive director, Michelle Garakian, who, well, with that name probably is of Armenian descent. She's the interim executive director of the. Now we're talking about a city that is in a state.
It's all over the country.
Right.
Me and Bo we go around the country speaking. You know, I've been traveling with Bo since we met and cooked up in, you know, Chicago. And we just see so many different things that the cities and the states are doing that are not relevant to those states and that are not going to help. Say, for instance, like Chicago, when we first went to Chicago with the Social Equity Program, they gave out, I think it was 50 licenses, and they gave them to out-of-state people, you know, saying that you had to have experience. If you wanted to open up a dispensary under the first round in Chicago, you had to have experience, meaning that you had to come from probably California or Denver.
Wow, that is crazy.
And not only now me,
that's
if I would have been doing
community,
it, absolutely. If I would have been doing it, I would have said, okay, we want somebody with experience. You have to partner with somebody from Chicago,
right?
Teach them the business, but they will own 51% or 55%.
And by experience, you know, what about all the people that were doing it in the underground economy? Does that experience not?
But all these other guys was illegal at one time too.
Right. Exactly. The other thing is when you talk about a first come, first serve for licenses, it seems to me you should be writing an essay about how you were impacted by, you know, illegal cannabis or as you said, how you would help the community. But it's none of that. It's about how fast your internet fingers are. That's crazy.
Yeah. and how big your pockets are, because you can buy high-speed internet. I know people who were renting places right next to City Hall, so they could do the internet right there.
Well, that is crazy, but I guess when you're talking about that kind of money, as you pointed out, this is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
I think they say California alone is going to be like $58 billion a year.
What?
Yeah, so I said I got to get me at least 5% of that.
Crazy money. Okay, so what should we be doing? What is the call to action at this point?
Well, we should be calling our politicians, telling them that we want this thing to be ethical and fair.
At any state, on any level, whether it's city politicians, state politicians, county leaders.
Well, here in LA, we can call our city officials, because California allows each city to handle their own situation. So we should be calling our city officials saying, look, we want this thing to be fair and ethical. We don't want people who are going to be coming into our community. I mean, we done had that too long. People coming in our community, taking our money right back out. The money doesn't get to circulate in the community. Let's get a license of people that's going to hire black, even though, sometimes it takes a little longer to train us, because we don't have no formal training. My mom and my dad didn't know business. And that's the case with a lot of us in our community, and we need training, but this is what this is supposed to be for. This money is supposed to be where it helps us, get some of the reparation that we never got before.
I don't know if Bo, are you on?
I'm through, yeah.
Okay, yay, she checked in. That's good news.
I'm good.
Yeah, well, when we come forward, we'll have just a few minutes before we hand off the microphone to Tavis Smiley, and I'm going to really let you guys each make a closing statement, what you want to say. But I want to ask you the same thing I just asked Rick Ross. What is the call to action right now?
Oh, I'm sorry, what is the
call to action? Like, what should we be doing to get fairness, to get progress here? Yeah, the regular people.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me answer that now, or
let's touch on it right now. Then when we come forward, we'll get a closing statement.
Yeah. So for us right now, again, I think I said this before, but I think we need to get the right folks in power that are going to, create a fair and ethical, and don't allow the loopholes to affect licensing, so that the folks that should be licensed, get in. So. We at this point we all need to stick together, and I just think that black folks need to work together, because that's one of the biggest problems. They don't work together.
Yeah, well, we have shown the ability to do so, and I think you're right. It's about people knowing what's going on. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. We are unapologetically progressive.
We don't try to be all things to all people. We just remain true to who we are. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, reminding you, when we fight, we win. Asian Americans Advancing Justice is the nation's largest legal and civil rights organization for Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. Founded in 1983 as the Asian Pacific American Legal Center, Advancing Justice LA individuals and organizations every year. Their mission is to advocate for civil rights, provide legal services and education, and build coalitions to positively influence and impact Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders, and to create a more equitable and harmonious society. To volunteer, make a donation, or seek assistance, visit advancingjustice-la.org. That's advancingjustice-la.org. Or call 888-349-9695. 888-349-9695. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Come on, we're going to be late to the cookout. I was just packing up my famous mac and cheese. I hope you packed the Pepto, too. Huh? Pepto-Bismol provides fast relief from heartburn and indigestion. You know, that uncomfortable feeling after you eat too much? And after the deviled eggs, baked beans, and barbecue ribs? You're going to need it. Barbecue ribs? I should probably pack an extra shirt, too. Good call.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto-Bismol. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
We are exactly 5 minutes away from the Tavis Smiley. I want I said, I would like to get your closing argument, what you came here to say, to share with us this morning. And I want to start with you.
Well, I think that we just need to create awareness around social equity and the programs that we have across the nation. Because that's one thing that the government does not do when they roll out programs that are for Black and brown folks is they don't do any outreach. So we need to make sure that folks know that these opportunities exist, and then they need to, have a voice in this, and they need to talk to their lawmakers that are writing this policy to make sure that it is, fair and it is something that they can actually obtain. And so, we want to make sure, again, that we're sticking together and our voices are heard, and that, we are now able to truly take this opportunity and benefit from it.
And how would you track these opportunities? If I'm someone that wants a license or wants to know, how would I stay plugged in to the latest news?
Well, I think they need to stay up with organizations like Indica, and just follow. Because we're always putting out the latest news, and we're and the new states that are rolling out the new programs, and then we also help with the resources. So we with the technical assistance on the applications, we help with education, because compliance and things like that. Those are big issues that most folks don't realize that they need to make sure that they understand. So for us. Again, it's just about creating that awareness. So folks just need to stay aware of what's going on in their states and cities.
And you have a website, right? What's your website or how can we follow you, your organization? Indica. Okay. We'll get that before we go off. Your call to action, your final thought today, Rick Ross.
Well, I agree with Bo. We need to get with our politicians. I learned, from hanging out with Bo and Kika and the rest of them is that, we marched on City Hall. We went from congressperson to congressperson's office, and we got results from doing that. And if more people got involved, deserve one of those licenses, then we could definitely do a lot more. And I think that's one of the call to action is that we definitely need to get with our politicians, and definitely I would say without Indica, I don't think I would have my license right now. So Indica and Bo Money has definitely helped me out a lot with a lot of the technical stuff. They got the person to actually type my application in for me. They walk me through the whole process. So the things that I'm not really, because I'm not really good with computers. I'm still don't consider myself really computer literate. I have a laptop, but I can't open it most of the time. So I think that those are the first steps. I would say if you're really interested, join N.D.I.C.A. Join the program and get involved and just learn, what's going on, because they're getting ready to give out another 150 licenses right here in LA here in the next couple of weeks if this thing goes through the way that they're planning on it. I know we're trying to put a hold to it to get it revamped. Bo Money's really been pushing hard to get it revamped and get the language changed and the way they're doing it. But they're only right there right now, so people need to wake up and get involved. These licenses are worth a lot of money,
No doubt.
I've known people to sell a license for anywhere from $3 million to $15 million just for a license.
It's THENDICA.org, Vindica.org, THENDICA.org, and I see you can follow Bo Money at Bo Money, BO Money 27. How do we follow you?
They can follow me on Instagram at Freeway Ricky. On Instagram, Twitter is Freeway Rick. Facebook is Freeway Ricky Ross. And if you want to buy my book, which I hope you do, you might learn something about LA and about me. You can get that at freewayrickyross.com. And if you ask to autograph it, I'll autograph it for you too.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and us from the airport. Tavis Smiley is up next. And while you're following people, please follow me too. I'm DiPrima Radio, DiPrima Radio on all platforms. And we are KBLA 1580. Find us everywhere you go, even Twitter. History is now, and we are making it together. I'm Dominique DiPrima. Until tomorrow, be safe, be well, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike.